Chosen one, there is something in your life right now that you have been thinking about reaching for, and I need you to stop. Do not touch it. I am speaking to you with urgency because this moment is not neutral. If you move too quickly, you could interfere with something I am carefully positioning in your favor, and you won't recognize the cost until it's already unfolded. This is not random, and it is not coincidence that this warning is reaching you now. I am revealing to you that what looks harmless, what even feels like the right opportunity, carries a consequence you cannot yet see. And I am calling you to trust restraint over impulse. What you are about to understand is not small, because your decision in this moment is directly connected to what unfolds next in your life. Type Amen if you are choosing obedience over impulse. I am not asking you to search for more information or overanalyze the situation, because something in you already feels the tension, that slight hesitation, that inner pause you almost ignored. You have already sensed that something about it is not fully aligned, even if you cannot explain why. That feeling was not confusion. It was direction. What you are being pulled toward may look complete on the surface, but I see what is attached to it. I see the chain reaction it would set in motion. I see the disruption it would bring into what I am building for you behind the scenes. That is why I said, do not touch it. If this is reaching you at the right time, pause for a moment and recognize it, because this is not just information, it is protection. You may be asking why I would stop you when it feels like progress. The answer is simple. I see further than you do. I know what you have been through. I know the delays that made you restless, and I know how ready you are to move forward. But not everything that feels like movement is advancement. Some movements create setbacks that take longer to recover from than the waiting itself. Right now, I am asking you to step into a different kind of strength. Not action, but restraint. There is something ahead of you that is properly aligned, something that does not require you to override your peace to obtain it. But if you reach for what is in front of you now, you risk misaligning yourself with what is already being prepared. Even if it feels close, even if it feels deserved, even if it feels like the answer, do not touch it. Because what you cannot see yet is that this moment is testing your ability to trust beyond what is visible. And your response here is not small. It is defining the direction of what comes next. Type 777 if you are choosing to trust what you cannot yet see. Understand this clearly. This is not only about what is in front of you. This is about how you are learning to respond to what is in front of you. Every time you choose restraint over impulse, you are strengthening something within you that cannot be seen externally, but it will shape everything that comes next. Your clarity sharpens, your direction stabilizes, you begin to move with intention instead of reaction. You start to realize that your path is not random, it is being arranged. There may be hesitation in this moment, and that is expected. You may feel the urge to justify taking action anyway, to convince yourself that it is harmless, or to fall back into patterns that feel familiar. Do not let that pull you away from what is being shown to you right now. You are not figuring this out alone. As long as you stay aligned with the instruction, the understanding you need will meet you in real time, even if it does not come all at once. What is in front of you may not immediately reveal why it is wrong for you, and that is where most people fail this moment. They assume that lack of visible danger means permission. It does not. When something carries deeper consequence, it rarely exposes itself up front. Do not mistake delayed clarity for safety. Stay steady. Stay aligned. Do not touch it. This moment has been placed in your path because there is trust in your ability to handle it, even if you have not fully recognized that within yourself yet. There is a level of discipline forming in you that did not exist before. There is a strength being built through moments exactly like this, where you feel the pull but choose not to move. That is where your next level is decided. Do not reduce this to something small. What feels like a simple decision right now is connected to something much larger that is already in motion. Later, you will see it clearly. Later, you will understand why this mattered. But right now, you are being asked to act without full explanation. That is the test. There were moments before where you noticed something, but moved anyway, where you felt the signal, but ignored it, where you saw enough to pause, but chose to proceed. And every time, it created a gap between what you sensed and what you followed. That gap is closing now. You are being pulled into sharper awareness. You may begin to notice things differently, the way this situation presents itself, the inconsistencies you overlooked before, the subtle resistance in your spirit that you tried to rationalize away. This is not coincidence. This is precision. Your awareness is being refined to protect your path. Do not override it. There will be a moment where you feel like stepping back from this instruction, telling yourself it is not that serious, that you are overthinking, that it will probably be fine. That is exactly where most people lose what was meant for them, not because they were forced, but because they dismissed the warning. When that thought appears, recognize it for what it is. It is not clarity. It is the last push of impulse trying to take control. You are able to see what others would ignore. You are able to feel what others would dismiss. That is not accidental. And right now, it is being activated for a reason. So, the question is no longer what this is. The question is, when the warning is clear and the outcome is still hidden, will you trust what you've been shown, or will you only believe it after it's too late? Type 1010 if you are choosing to trust before the proof arrives. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, and I hold both the victor and the vanquished in my hand. There is nothing you are facing right now that exists outside of my awareness, nothing that has slipped beyond my reach, nothing that is unfolding without my permission. What you are calling loss and what you are calling opportunity are not what they appear to be from where I stand, and this is where you must become careful. Because what looks like a victory to you right now may not be aligned with what I have declared over your life. And what feels like something you are about to lose may actually be the very thing protecting you. That is why I said, do not touch it. You are trying to define things too quickly. You are trying to label outcomes before they have fully revealed themselves. But I see the full span from beginning to end. And what you are standing in right now is only a fragment of a much larger movement. If you reach based on what you see, you will move out of alignment with what I am completing. But if you hold your position, if you trust what you cannot yet understand, you step into something greater than what your eyes can measure. As you begin to reconcile these opposites within your awareness, what looks good but is not, what feels uncertain but is right, you will enter a different state entirely, a place where you are no longer reacting out of fear, urgency, or impulse, a place where the noise inside you begins to quiet, because right now, there is an internal dialogue running within you, questioning, justifying, pulling you in different directions. One part of you wants to move, another part of you is hesitating, and that tension is not confusion. That tension is instruction. When you stop trying to resolve it through logic alone, when you stop forcing a decision just to feel in control, something shifts. The doubt loses its voice. The pressure to act immediately begins to fade. And in that stillness, you create space for me to move in your situation in a way you could never produce on your own. But if you override this moment, if you silence the warning and move anyway, you interrupt what I am setting in place. You may gain something quickly, but you will lose something far greater in the process. That is the part you cannot see yet. That is why what happens next will shock you, because the outcome is not attached to what you touch. It is attached to whether you listened. So, before you move, before you decide, before you reach for what feels right in the moment, ask yourself, am I seeing this from where I stand, or am I trusting the one who sees how it ends? This is your hour to release your opinion, the one built from what you've seen go wrong, from delays, from outcomes that trained you to expect less. That way of judging is about to cost you if you keep leaning on it, because right now it is trying to convince you to move, to fix, to secure something quickly so you don't feel the risk of waiting. And that is exactly how people touch what they were told not to. You are interpreting this moment through past evidence, through visible conditions, through what seems logical. But what looks urgent is not always aligned. What looks available is not always assigned to you. And if you decide based only on what your eyes confirm, you will step into something that carries a consequence you did not factor in. That is why I am interrupting you before you act. Move beyond that limitation. Step out of the need to label this as good or bad based on appearance alone, because I am working in both places you struggle to understand. The place where you feel reduced and the place where you feel like you are finally rising. To you, they are opposites. To me, they are part of the same construction. But if you misread the moment, you will try to escape one and cling to the other. And in doing that, you will miss what I am actually building through both. Listen carefully. There are things that feel like loss right now that are not loss. They are separation from what would have delayed you later. And there are things that feel like gain that are not gain. They are distractions positioned to pull you out of alignment before the real door opens. So, when I say do not touch it, I am not limiting you. I am protecting the sequence. Because what I am bringing into your life cannot land in a place that is driven by impulse, fear, or rushed decisions. It requires alignment. It requires restraint. It requires you to trust me beyond what you can immediately prove. And this is where breakthrough is actually decided. Not when everything makes sense, not when the outcome is obvious, but right here, when you are standing between what looks right and what is right. If you hold your position, if you refuse to move just to relieve the pressure, something begins to shift that you cannot force. Doors you did not chase begin to open. Outcomes you could not predict begin to form. And you will realize that what you almost reached for would have cost you the very thing you were praying for. That is why what happens next will shock you, because the difference will not come from what you did. It will come from what you chose not to do. So ask yourself, am I about to act because it feels urgent, or am I willing to wait because I trust what I cannot yet see? I am writing the word opportunity over your life in this moment. But you must understand something that most people miss. Not everything that looks like an opportunity is the one I have established for you. That is where many go wrong. Because right now, there are multiple doors in front of you. Some appear open, some feel urgent. Some even look like answers to what you have been waiting for. But only one of them carries my alignment. Only one of them is connected to what I have already set in motion for your life. And the others, they are tests. This is why I said, do not touch it. The opportunity I have established for you does not require you to override your peace to step into it. It does not pressure you into quick decisions. It does not pull you into confusion and call it clarity. What I have placed for you carries a different weight. It will meet you with alignment, not anxiety, with confirmation, not inner resistance. But if you are not careful, you will reach for the nearest option instead of the right one. And that is where the cost appears, because the wrong opportunity will not announce itself as wrong in the beginning. It will feel exciting. It will feel like movement. It will feel like progress. But what it carries underneath is misalignment. And once you step into it, it begins to shift your path in ways you did not intend. That is why this moment matters more than you realize. The opportunity I have prepared for you is already in place. It is not late. It is not delayed, it is not missing, but it requires you to stay aligned long enough to meet it at the right moment. If you move too soon, you will think you found it, when in reality, you stepped around it. And that is the shock. Not that nothing came, but that something came that looked right and wasn't. So, I am marking this moment clearly for you. There is an opportunity in front of you, but there is also an instruction attached to it. Wait. Discern. Do not rush to claim what has not been confirmed, because what I have written over your life cannot be taken from you, but it can be stepped out of. And the difference between the two will come down to one decision. When it looked like your moment had arrived, did you reach for it immediately? Or did you have the discipline to wait until it was truly yours? Every interaction in front of you right now is not random. It is positioned. Every person you cross paths with is part of a larger arrangement, an opportunity that carries more than what appears on the surface. But you must understand this carefully. Not every connection is meant to be taken further, and not every moment is meant to be acted on immediately. That is where discernment becomes critical, because some interactions are meant to be recognized, not pursued. Some moments are meant to be observed, not touched. And if you do not slow down enough to tell the difference, you will step into something that was only meant to pass through your awareness, not become part of your path. That is why I said, do not touch it. Right now, I am sharpening your awareness. I am pulling your attention away from distraction, away from noise, away from the constant pressure to react to everything that appears in front of you. Because if you keep responding impulsively, you will miss the precision of what I am placing in your life. There is a difference between presence and attachment. You are meant to see clearly. You are meant to recognize deeply. But you are not meant to grab everything that presents itself as meaningful. And this is where most people lose alignment. They mistake visibility for assignment. They mistake connection for confirmation. They mistake opportunity for instruction. And in doing that, they touch what was never meant to be held. I am clearing that pattern out of you now. I am removing the internal clutter that keeps you reacting instead of discerning. I am quieting the noise that pushes you to move before you are guided. Because what I have placed before you requires a different response. Not urgency, but awareness. Not reaction, but precision. As this noise fades, you will begin to notice something shifting. What once felt confusing will start to separate itself. What once felt urgent will begin to lose its pressure. And what is truly aligned will remain steady, without forcing you to chase it. That is how you will know, because what is yours will not need to be grabbed in fear of losing it. And this is where abundance actually begins to open for you. Not through chasing everything that looks promising, but through refusing to touch what is not assigned, because abundance is not built through constant movement. It is built through aligned movement, through decisions that are not driven by pressure, but by clarity. And right now, your awareness is being elevated to protect that. So, stay alert, stay grounded. Do not let distraction pull you back into old patterns of reacting to everything that crosses your path. Because the shock will not come from what you missed. It will come from realizing how close you were to stepping into something that would have taken you off course entirely. So, ask yourself, am I engaging with this because it is truly meant for me, or because I have not yet learned to let things pass without touching them? Now, bring this down to something real. Not theory, not interpretation, action. Within the next 24 hours, you are going to face one specific situation that fits everything I've been warning you about. It will not look dramatic. It will look normal. A message you feel like replying to immediately. An offer that feels too good to ignore. A decision that feels like it needs to be made right now. A person pulling you into something that feels slightly off, but easy to justify. That is it. That is the moment. And here is what you do when it happens. You pause, not for hours, not for days, just long enough to break the automatic reaction. You do not respond instantly. You do not commit immediately. You do not explain yourself. You create space. Because impulse needs speed to survive. When you slow it down, it starts to lose control. Then you check one thing, only one. Does this require me to override my inner resistance to move forward? Not fear, not doubt, resistance. That subtle friction you tried to ignore earlier. If the answer is yes, you step back. No negotiation, no maybe, no partial involvement. You leave it alone. That is what "do not touch it" actually means in practice. And here is where most of you will fail if you are not careful. You will try to revisit it later. You will tell yourself, let me just check again. Let me see if it changed. Let me approach it differently. No. If it was misaligned once, it is not your assignment later. Stop circling what you were already told to leave. Instead, you redirect your focus to what is stable, what is not rushing you, what is not pressuring you, what does not require you to convince yourself. Because what is truly aligned does not need urgency to pull you in. It holds its position. And here is the part that will prove everything I've said. Within a short time after you choose not to touch it, something will be revealed. Not immediately, but clearly. You will see the flaw, the consequence, the thing that was hidden when it first appeared. And in that moment, you will realize, if you had acted when you felt the urge, you would already be dealing with the cost. That is the shift. Not guessing better. Not becoming perfect. Just stopping at the right moment. So don't overcomplicate this. You are not trying to control your entire life. You are just handling the next decision correctly. One moment, one pause, one thing you don't touch. That's it. Right now, everything you've heard comes down to one thing. Not a feeling, not a moment, a rule. Because if you leave this as inspiration, you will forget it the next time pressure shows up. So fix this in your mind clearly. From this point forward, you move by this. If it creates urgency, confusion, or inner resistance, you do not touch it. No exceptions. You don't negotiate with it. You don't try to figure it out later. You don't step halfway in. You leave it. Immediately. And here is the second part of the rule. This is where most people break it. If it is truly yours, it will still be there when you return with clarity. What is aligned does not expire under pressure. What is right does not force you to rush. What is meant for you does not require you to override yourself to keep it. So, you stop chasing what feels urgent, and you start trusting what stays steady. Lock this in. No peace, no action, no clarity, no commitment, no alignment, no movement. That is how you protect your path. Because from now on, you are not reacting to everything that appears. You are filtering. You are discerning. You are deciding based on alignment, not impulse. And if you follow this consistently, not occasionally, you won't just avoid the wrong things. You will start noticing something else entirely. The right things begin to find you without pressure, without confusion, without force. If you're locking this in as your rule, type "I don't touch it" in the comments. Not for me, for yourself. So, the next time pressure shows up, you remember the decision you made here. And if this reached you at the exact moment you needed it, save this. Because when that situation appears, you won't have time to rethink everything. You'll need to remember this instantly.